Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Jane and I talk about my financial journey. Today's video is all about how to save more and spend less. And I'm just going to talk about some of the things that I adopt, particularly when I've got saving goals in mind. And it's just some practical things that you can think about implementing to help you spend a bit less and have that little bit more at the end of each month to transfer into your savings account, into your investments, or whatever that might be. And with that in mind, one of the first things that you should do when looking to implement a savings plan or strategy to try and help you spend a bit less is think about your financial goals and write them down, because that way you're going to be much more inclined to try and hit them, and there'll be a reason that you're looking to not make that particular purchase or try and not have another coffee or one less takeaway a week or whatever it might be. So my first tip is to make some financial goals and write them down. Are you saving for a house deposit? Are you saving for a wedding? Are you trying to buy a new car? Do you want to put more on your investments each month? What is it that you're looking to do? And write it down, and how you're going to go about doing that. Do you need to save a certain amount a month? Do you need to cut down in a certain area? And having those in mind and thinking about those will really, as I say, give you some motivation and something to aim for and get you starting to think about where you can cut down in certain areas. And that links really nicely with the second thing, is to budget. No surprises there. But if you don't plan what you're spending, then you're not going to know exactly how much you've got left after paying off your bills. Ideally, you want to be already automating your savings into a certain account and removing any temptation into your investments, whatever that might be. But if you're not quite there yet, then some of the other tips will be useful, but really try and automate it so that you're not tempted by just looking at what's your account. So doing it that way, you'll already have a certain amount, whether it's 100, 200, whatever it is, into a savings account. So you've got those savings already sitting there. Then say you've allocated £200 a month or whatever it might be to spending, then that's where some of these tips might help to try and reduce that down or cut the invisible spending. I was having a look for the purposes of this video, and some studies have shown that an average person in the UK spends around £950 on invisible spending, and that's things like having coffees, a lunch at work, a takeaway every now and then, a chocolate bar, a drink when you walk past the shop. Just those little things that you don't necessarily give much thought to at the time, but over the period of a year it really builds up. So with that in mind, say if you've walked past Pret and managed to resist going in for a coffee and a croissant, or you only have the coffee, think about how much that saved you. And what sometimes I do is then transfer that amount into a Monzo pot, for example. And then at the end of each month, you can have a look and see how much you've saved on things you've just managed to avoid by not having that extra coffee or having that extra bottle of wine. And if you can do it for really big purchases, so not buying that really expensive foundation or another pair of trainers when you've already got some, transfer it over. Then after a few months, you'll see how much money you've got left that you can put in your savings or your investments, instead of having another pair of trainers that you've already got 7 lying around. You've got your budget, which is really important, but you've also got to have that review process at the end of a month. I like to do it. So what did you anticipate that you would spend your £200 on, say, frivolous purchases? Where did you get up to that? Where did you go over? Where have you managed to make savings? So there's no point having a plan if you don't stick to it and you don't reflect on it and think about where you've done really well and where you can improve. So you have your budget, but then also have the period of reflection. Some of the practical things that I sometimes do is try and make it a little bit more difficult to make those purchases. We can do so much now sat in the living room on our phones. You've got Amazon one-click ordering. You know, you could spend so much money in a matter of seconds sometimes. So sometimes I will make life more difficult, so you can turn off the one-click ordering. There's also the features on the phone where you can sort of, scan your thumbprint, and then that will put in all of your credit card details or your PayPal details. So it's really easy. So think about switching those off so that you do have to get up off the sofa to go and get your purse or go and get your card and put in those details. So you've just got that bit of time where you really have to start thinking about whether it is a purchase that you want to make, and linked to that, thinking about whether it's a purchase you want to make. Another good idea is to delay the purchase from when you think you want to buy. And also I try and increase that time depending on the value of the purchase. So say it's less than £100, can you wait a day or two until you make that purchase and really think about it? And after that period of time, you might realise that you want something else, or it wasn't that much of a big deal, really. And if it's a bigger purchase, can you wait a week or 2 weeks? You know, if you really do want something, that little bit of extra time shouldn't matter for many of the occasions. And it may be that you've just seen something and that's making you want to buy it when really you've not properly reflected on it. And that leads to another good idea, is unsubscribe from marketing emails. You're always getting told about 50% off Sweaty Betty or the latest H&M sale, and then you click in, you start looking, the next thing you know you're on the website and that you've spent a couple of £100 and you didn't even know you were going to do it. There's a reason that these marketing emails keep coming. They work. So if you're not looking at them, if you're not subscribed to them, you're taking away that risk, and that means that you'll only go in search of purchases that you really want. In a similar vein, I also think it's important to manage your social media consumption. I think we're all guilty of seeing something on Instagram, looking at the swipe up, looking at the links and being tempted to purchase something. There's some amazing fashion beauty bloggers out there that make things look so nice, and you want it. The household bloggers, you want the latest candle to decorate your house. There's a reason that comparison is the thief of joy. Not only has it got a whole sort of self-esteem and social issues, there's no doubt about it that time on social media will also more than likely increase your spending. So just be mindful of that. Think about if there's any triggers. By no means I'm saying anything's wrong with that. We all like to make some purchases, and if we see a nice jumper on someone, we can buy it. But if it's not really our idea, do we really want it? So maybe manage the social media consumption and then combining it with the period of waiting until you purchase. Although I admit with H&M that's not really an option given how much it sells out, but there we are. Talking about triggers, drinking alcohol has also been shown to increase purchases. I'm sure a lot of us have been there where you've had a drink or two and then suddenly you're feeling a lot more spendy. So again, maybe linking it to turning off those features on your phone will make life a little bit more difficult to try and make those drunken purchases. And maybe the next day or in a week or so, one of those drunken purchases has come in and you're thinking, what was I doing? Or, a normal purchase. Don't be lazy if you can return the item and get your money back. I know that I'm guilty of this, particularly with all of the online shopping. The thought of having to pack it back up and go to the post office sometimes means that I've just not done it at all. And there's things that I've not worn or things that weren't right that are just sitting there. So try and avoid doing that, get your money back and take advantage of it if you can. So I hope that some of those tips were useful. The last couple of things I want to mention is just some, almost obvious ways to try and reduce the amount that you're spending. If you are making a considered purchase, you've took that time to reflect on it and you do still want something. Firstly, always Google promotional codes, promo codes or discounts for the store that you're in, particularly if you see the gap on the website for promo code. That should be the red flag. There's plenty of websites that offer them and often they do work, so just check that there's no discounts out there. Also think about whether you can buy what you're looking for second hand. There's some real good bargains on Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree and eBay. Things like books in particular, you can get some ones that basically look like new. Do you need a brand new one? Can you save there? So I hope that you found that helpful. Let me know if there's any tips or tricks that you use to try and reduce your spending. There's absolutely nothing wrong with treating ourselves every now and again. We work hard, we want to look forward to and enjoy life, and if that's a new handbag or some new sunglasses or a new pair of trainers, who cares? It doesn't matter. But I know that I feel better if I've accounted for it, planned it, really thought about if it's something I want, checked if there's a discount code. That's what I call mindful spending. So that's what I try and adopt in my life, try and reduce the amount and increase my savings, and I hope that it works for you too. If you can think of anything that you do that I've not mentioned, please mention in the comments below. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.